do it. Why do people in Africa have more children on average? Welcome viewers to the third, or rather the 12th episode of the Property Investors Network, a show where we discuss and learn how to invest in property in Africa in 10 minutes or so. It's your host today, Taka. I'll be sharing with you, and the question that came this week is, why do people in Africa have more children on average than other places? We will look at this question in detail at the end, and we will see how this relates to property investment. Now, today we are going to have a question and answer session where we look at the questions that we have received up to now and try to answer some of these questions. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking these episodes. I can see there are more likes on YouTube. Thank you so much. We are going to jump into the first question for today. This is on property development. I'm developing 440 housing units on a 8.5 hectare land in a small rural town in Limpopo. The name of the town is given in Limpopo in South Africa. So what must I do? Can you advise me? Now, I'm going to answer in a broad way, but this is a development of about 440 units, housing units. It's quite a small development, and I'm going to give the pointers to how to what to look at the risks on development of such a piece of land in a rural setup. The first thing you need to look at is the finance for the project. Let me go back to this. There's what we call tribal land. Tribal land is land that is owned by the state or the government, and we've got local leadership in forms of chiefs who control that land. So financing a project on a tribal land, a land that does not have title deeds, can be a challenge. It's a challenge because banks, when they finance, or institutions, when they finance projects, development projects, they look at two things. They want to bond the land. In other words, they bond it. So if there is no title deed for that particular land, it's very difficult to bond the land. And the second thing, the financer also look at the cash flow. So if this project is on if your project's on a tribal land or a communal land or a state land that is being controlled by a chief or local leader, it's going to be difficult to finance it. Okay, that being said, the next thing that potential funders look at is the project structuring. So it is how the project is structured, especially who owns the land. In this particular case, in this instance, this land in Limpopo in South Africa, the land is on a small holding. These are plots, they have title deeds. So the funders are going to look at who owns the land, and if you as the developer don't own the land, do you have the agreements in place that give you access to the land so that the development process can start? Number two, this area in particular is a bit challenging in terms of development because there are other issues, technical issues that are involved. These two issues, number one is bulk services. What are bulk services? Bulk services, they talk, it's mainly water and sanitation and also electricity. Are they available in this area? Also the cost of making them available. So do you have water? So you need to water services. Is it coming by pipe? Is it available? You need to look at that. And also at the sanitation, the sewer, how are you going to deal with that? So availability of bulk services and the cost of providing the bulk services. Number 2, also the critical issue on the feasibility of this project is the uptake of the houses. Do you have enough demand to take all the 440 units that you're going to build? So if you've got a good demand, then that's positive. But if the demand for housing in that area, a small rural town, is small, then it's going to be a challenge in terms of project feasibility. The other point also to note on this one is low costing house in a small town. Low cost housing, generally in South Africa, you look at government funding or government subsidy. So if you've got such a project like this, go and look for the subsidies that can help you. There is the USDG grants that help you put in the services, and there's also the HSDG grant that is for the housing. So you need to go and get grants so that they fund the low cost housing. And finally, make sure that your figures are right. At the end of the line is the bottom line figure. So do all your potential income, the cost of development, and see how it balances. The bottom line figure will say the direction you go with such a project. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next question, this is coming from Scott from Nairobi, who say, hello Taka, thanks for agreeing to help out. I don't have a strategy yet, though I want to source property deals for other investors. Now, how to identify investors is an issue. I have lots of properties waiting to be grabbed. Okay, what I say, part of the response to this was to talk about the strategies for property investment. So I went on to talk about the number of routes that you can do when you want to invest in property investment, and to choose what type of strategy that she wants. I'll list them. We have said them these strategies before in the previous episodes. This includes number 1, buy to let, number 2, rent to rent, number 3, property development, number 4, property speculation or buy to sell, number 5, renovation or flipping, number 6, investor consortium, number 7, venture capital, number 8, property stocks, number 9, estate agency, this is providing services, estate agencies, conveyancing, bond origination, number 10, you also do the letting agency, or number 11, managing agency, number 12, wholesale property. So these are various ways that you can engage in property investment. So I advise him that find a strategy that is best suitable for you and go for it. And also, as you go with your strategy, remember the property market is wide. Here are some of the sectors you may target. You can target residential properties. Residential properties, these are normally dwelling or homes, and under this category you can find student accommodation, you can focus on low income housing, or you can do high density or multi-family housing. This also includes cluster houses, title sectional housing. You can maybe focus on single family homes as a strategy. You can also focus on informal settlements. There are people who are investing in informal settlements. Sometimes we call them shack lords. These guys, they've got a number of shacks or informal houses, and they rent them out, and they've got a big business in the informal settlement area. So it's also a strategy, that a sector rather, you can follow. You can also do timeshares and holiday homes. So there are various ways that you can invest in residential property. You can also go to another segment, commercial property, and you focus on that. These are the retail, the malls. Also, you can also do the industrial properties. These are the warehouses, the manufacturing, the factories. You can also do offices for businesses. You can perhaps focus on urban renewal projects. Like here, there are areas where the government is encouraging development and they are giving incentive. So you can just focus on those areas. Perhaps there's tax incentives, there are subsidies there. Then you focus on those ones. You can also do special purpose, invest in special purpose land uses like educational, library, community. So these are the ways you can diversify your property portfolio and focus in different sectors. Now, to end this episode, let's go back to that question. Why do people in Africa have so many children on average? It's a big question. But before I answer it, let's look at Europe. In Europe, the population is stabilizing. Actually, if you go to Eastern Europe, population of some towns and some countries, it's shrinking. But if you come to Africa, the population is growing. So why? One of the reasons is because we have more children than other areas. That's the obvious fact. Why do we have more children in Africa? Here are some of the reasons. It's a cultural issue. Our parents have been having more children, 6 children, even more, and you just follow what your parents have been doing. Also, if you look in African context, in the old days, having more children means labor, to work in the fields. There were no schools, there were no industries, so you work in the field. So if you've got more children, you've got more labor to take care of the livestock, to work in the field. Actually, it was associated with the wealth of that family or a village. So having more children was actually a status, a wealthy status and a security status. Also, one of the reasons why Africa, or rather poorer areas have got more children, is lack of effective birth controls and family planning awareness. So people just have kids and then they go to school. And then another reason that was given, I heard someone saying, it's cheaper to raise a child in a poorer country because they don't have extra activities at school. They don't have extra things which they do. So it's very economic. Even their diet is simple diet, you feed them. So it's very cheaper to have children. So you have them, like they say, cheaper by the dozen. You have more children. And also in poorer countries, people have got more free time. Normally the wife is not working, so he can take care of the kids. So, but if you go to developed countries, the husband is working, the wife is working. So who take care of the kids? So they have less children. So those are some of the reasons why people in Africa have more children compared to other countries. With this current growth, by 2050, it is estimated that in Africa, almost 60% of the population is going to live in urban areas. And it actually says, statistics says that in West Africa, you are going to have 70% of the people staying in urban areas. This is quite interesting for real estate investors because by that time, 2050, we are going to have mega cities in the top 10 mega cities in the world. We are going to have 3 of them from Africa. At the moment, there's none in Africa. So Africa is going to grow faster and bigger. And this is going to create a need for infrastructure. There comes an opportunity for property investors. So the population growth in Africa is a good sign for property investors. So what do you think about that? We conclude here today. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. You're welcome to comment. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Thank you.